Doctors make mistakes all the time. They can say that the baby's going to come out abnormal or something like that, and the baby can be born normal and fine. They make mistakes. So you took a chance on them being right.
No, there was no chance.
Okay, you took a chance on them being right.
There was amniocentesis. There was all kinds of. It wasn't a chance.
You took a chance.
There wasn't a chance, sir. There wasn't a chance.
There was technically a chance, but
is that under President Biden, I'm a public librarian. I'm a children's librarian, and my debt was all forgiven under President Biden.
Okay.
For my undergraduate, where I went to the Howard University, and also my graduate, my master's, which I went here to the University of Washington. So I just want to say that the public debt relief, it is real. You're looking at someone who has received it, as well as over 1 million people who have. But I know that it has made an incredible difference in my life. But that's just to say, shout out to that. My question though, for you, is what is your stance around abortion?
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is, because let me just preface this by saying I'm 51 years old, okay? I have 2 beautiful children. I have a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old that I had at 44. Good. My husband and I, after we had our son, we tried for a long time to have a second baby. And when I was finally able to have another, to get pregnant again, that child was diagnosed with holoprosencephaly, a lobar holoprosencephaly, meaning that where the fetal brain is supposed to look like a butterfly, her brain looked like a horseshoe. Okay? So I had an abortion at 17 weeks. And I know that the doctors told me if I was able to carry her to term, she would probably be stillborn or only live for a few minutes or a few days at that. I made the choice to terminate that pregnancy.
Before we get too deep, my name is LFR Jojo. I'm actually an engineer, but I do like to watch these type of videos because I learn a lot. One thing I will say is that I actually like this type of story when it comes to abortion, because it's kind of a real situation or a real scenario regarding should abortion laws be legal or illegal. Whether or not you agree they should be legal or illegal, I do think this will be a good video where we can learn a lot. And without further ado, let's enjoy.
And it infuriates me that there are women and girls all around this nation who are in the same position that I found myself in, or these are women or girls who have been raped, who have been molested by family members, and they are being forced because of their zip code to carry these pregnancies to term. So I want to know, how does this keep America great?
Okay.
If you're forcing girls and women to have pregnancies that they either do not want, cannot afford, or in my case, you are having children that are born with all kinds of abnormalities.
Okay, great question. Let me start with the first one. I do not think that loan forgiveness is fair to everybody. Because what about the people like myself, which my graduate degree I paid off? Where's my money at? A lot of these other people that worked while they were in college to pay a debt that they agreed to assume, and they don't get any benefit from it.
I'm a public librrian, sir.
I'm just saying.
I work for the people. Me and Kamala have only had one. We've only had one client that we've ever worked for, and that's the people.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that for all the people that have worked hard, just like you did, but paid their loan off, what do they get in return?
I was paying my loans?
No, I'm saying that they paid it off. They paid it off. What do they get in return?
I think this is a good question by Officer Tatum. If you guys don't know Officer Tatum, he's a mostly conservative speaker, and I believe the woman he's speaking to is probably liberal, because her talking points were mostly liberal. I'll say this: getting a loan forgiven is not fair. It's 100% not fair. However, there's a problem with this logic, because the people who get the majority of loans forgiven, of course, college graduates, but a lot of millionaires and billionaires have gotten loans forgiven. I mean, millions of dollars of loans forgiven. And if you're a Trump supporter, Donald Trump has gotten $200 million worth of loans forgiven. I just looked it up because I wanted to know. All I'm saying is, if you think that getting loans forgiven is unfair, you have to believe that they're completely unfair across the board. As we know, in America, people have been getting loans forgiven. Companies have been getting loans forgiven. During the housing crisis, places got loans forgiven. Banks have gotten loans forgiven. And all of it, I agree, is 100% unfair. It's all 100% unfair. The reason why I'm not fully against it is because it happens so often. Businesses get loans forgiven. Students get loans forgiven. Businessmen get loans forgiven. Politicians get loans forgiven. CEOs get loans forgiven. And I mean hundreds of millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of loans forgiven. All of it, to me, is unfair. However, where do you draw the line and say, okay, forgiving student loans is unfair. However, forgiving CEO loans is not unfair. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And that's a fair question, I think. What do you all think?
They got screwed.
Cool.
No,
I
they
want to
got
hear.
screwed.
I want to hear what you have to say about abortion,
I'm
though.
gonna get to that
okay.
point. You asked me 2 questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to that point.
No, I didn't ask that first
Well,
one.
you made a statement.
I made a
and
statement.
You
Okay,
made
my
a statement.
second one was a
I want
question.
to rebut your statement, and then I'm gonna get to the board. I got plenty of time. Okay?
All right.
So the first portion is that I don't think it's right that they just completely are going to forgive, and they say they're going to forgive. That's going to go on the taxpayer dollar. They didn't really forgive you. They're going to assume that debt that the taxpayer had to pay for.
I'm a public
so none
librarian.
of that is free.
I'm a librarian.
I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, it's not fair to do that. They're
I'm a
only
librarian.
buying votes by saying they're going to forgive your student loans.
I'm a librarian.
Ma'am, that's not an argument.
No, it's the fact. I'm a librarian.
Well, they're good for you.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
I don't understand her logic behind saying I'm a librarian, so I should get my loans forgiven. I don't understand that. Maybe she's saying I'm a public servant, so I should get my loans forgiven. Here's my thing. You decide to take out loans, so you should be ready to pay them back. However, we live in America, so that doesn't happen, and that doesn't happen for a lot of citizens, and that doesn't happen for a lot of businessmen either. It just doesn't happen across the board. That's a fact. This is not me making this up. A lot of PPP loans have gotten forgiven. A lot of student loans have gotten forgiven. Point blank, period. I think there's an underlying problem, however, with student loans. And the reason I say that is because the average student loan is around 6 to 7%. However, the majority of student loans come from the federal government, Department of Education. The reason why I think this is a problem is because if the majority of loans are coming from, let's say, the Department of Education, why are the interest rates for these loans so abnormally high? Why do the interest rates for these loans borderline compete with private industry? I think that's a problem. But he's talking about you should be ready to pay back your loans. If you take out loans, pay them back. And he's right. People should be ready to pay back the loans they take out. However, in real life, it just doesn't happen.
For your
Not
service.
just good
okay,
for me.
Can we continue the conversation?
It's great. It's great for community.
Now, listen. They only did that to buy votes. That's all they did.
I'm a librarian.
They want to make sure that young people are enthusiastic about voting for them, so they
I'm
go,
a
we're going to
librarian.
forgive you of this, we're going to forgive you of that. It's not good for the national debt. It's not good for the country.
The national
and
debt.
It's not fair. It's
that
not,
Trump
can I
ran
speak?
up.
Can I speak?
Okay, I'm a librarian though, but go ahead.
I'm like, are you trolling me? Or are you
I'm
like
a
really
librarian.
think that I'm a librarian is argument?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Okay.
interesting. Let me move to the abortion
Yeah.
thing. Abortion is essentially murder. Do you agree with that?
No, I do not.
Or killing of the unborn.
No,
do you agree
I
with
do
that?
not. I don't.
Well, what is it called? What are you doing to the baby inside of you?
It's not a baby. It's a fetus.
A fetus is a human. A fetus is a baby.
A fetus is a human.
It is a small child.
It's a fetus. It's a
You
fetus
can
is
say
not
whatever
a,
you want to say. You have 2 children already, right?
I do.
You didn't think it was just a fetus when you wanted the children, correct? They weren't just a fetus. There was a gender reveal. There was an excitement. There was a pregnancy test.
There was a point in the pregnancy when they were fetuses.
Right. There's a pregnancy test that you were excited about. I'm assuming that you and your husband had both children. If not, whoever you had the children with, you were excited. From the time that conception happened to the time that those babies were birthed, you were excited and you believed that they meant something from start to finish. Am I right? Am I wrong? I have 2 children. They meant something to me ever since I found out that my wife was pregnant. They meant something to me and they have value.
Okay.
Now, I do understand the argument that if your child is deformed, that's a separate argument. However, I believe that you should have the baby and take it to term because not every single situation.
That is your belief.
That's fine.
And
you have a belief too.
And I do.
We disagree
But
on
what
that.
I'm saying, yeah, we can disagree on that. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is your beliefs then should not mandate what other people do with their bodies.
You know,
there is no law
it's
in
called
America.
voting.
There is no
It's
law
called
in
voting. I'm
America
gonna
that
vote.
mandates what men do with
Yeah, it
their
is.
bodies.
Yes, it is.
What law is that, sir?
The draft.
The draft.
Yes.
Okay.
Therefore, the government can control whether or not, well, I'm too old to go to the draft, but some of these young people that are on college campus, the government can tell you, we're going to war and you're going to fight and you're going to die for this country.
Okay.
They have no choice.
He's making a pretty good point. The draft does literally tell men what they can do with their body. I will say this. I don't want to go into too much detail about abortion because honestly, I don't know that much about it. I'll be completely honest. I don't. This is why I watch these videos. I will say this though. The argument that it's not a baby, it's a fetus, it always confused me a little bit because here's why it confused me. When do you classify something as a baby? And to me, here's what I'll say. It seems like a very convenient argument. Whether or not you support abortion or you're anti-abortion, saying that I'm aborting this because it's not a baby. It just seems a little convenient to me to say. Whether or not you agree with that it should happen just by saying, oh, it's not a baby. Someone else can just say, well, when do you classify life as a baby? When do you consider this a real life? And then it just goes down a weird rabbit hole about when life starts and when life ends. I don't know. It's just a very strange stance from me. Like, oh, this is not a child yet. When does life begin? I don't know. It's just too much. It's too much for me, and it gets very theoretical. It's a lot. But anyways,
they control the male body through the government.
But there is no law where the government gets to determine whether or not the contents of your uterus.
Let's put it in this perspective. Is it fair to your husband, just say the baby was healthy? The perspective of the baby was healthy, because medical doctors make mistakes all the time. They can say that the baby is going to come out abnormal or something like that, and the baby can be born normal and fine. They make mistakes. So you took a chance on them being right.
So there was no chance.
Okay, you took a chance on them being right.
There was amniocentesis. There was all kinds of. It wasn't a chance.
You took a chance.
There wasn't
on them
a
being
chance,
wrong.
sir. There wasn't a chance.
Okay,
there were all kinds of scans. There was there wasn't a chance.
It's still a chance.
It wasn't a chance. It was not a chance.
There was technically a chance, but if we're going by the good faith of her, which I think we should. None of us know the situation. Let's say there wasn't a chance, because she would know. I don't know. Let's say there wasn't a chance. A big chance. There was still technically a little chance that your baby was born perfectly healthy. I think that's what he's saying, but I'm not fully sure.
Who
Can kill their baby
that they want to have an abortion
for
should
any
be
reason.
allowed to do
That's
that.
insane.
That reason is her business.
No, it's not.
It is her business. It is not your
Let me
business.
tell
It
you
is
how-
not my business.
let me tell you how
it
you
is
can-
her business.
Let's do some math.
Period.
Let's do
Now
some-
And this is what really frustrates me about this argument. What she just said verbatim is that if any woman decides that she should get an abortion, it's her business. It's not my business. It's not your business. It's her business. How do you define when life begins? And I think that's a very important question. How do you define when life begins? Because before Roe versus Wade was overturned, even now that Roe versus Wade is overturned, a lot of places allow you to get abortions up to even 27 weeks. So if a woman decides, okay, at 26 weeks, I want to get an abortion, is that only her business? Is the fetus alive? Do you not consider it alive? Is it the man's business whose baby it also is? I just don't understand this argument. I don't understand this argument, which is why I really stay away from it. Because in order to really logically define if abortion is right or wrong, we have to define when life begins. When does life begin? In her mind, it doesn't begin if you are a fetus still. But aren't you a fetus until what? When are you not a fetus? That's a real question. When does life begin? When do we determine when the baby has its own life? I don't know. I don't know enough about this.
You know what I got to do? I got to go. No, because I'm a librarian. I got to go and do a librarian thing right now. So peace.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Okay, now that she's gone, let me be able to speak. So I think that abortion is selfish. Most women who are having abortions now are not due to rape and incest and none of that. That's less than 1% of all abortions. Most of them, as we all know, y'all grown, people having sex and they get pregnant and it's unwanted and they decide to have an abortion, whether they have it plan B and all this other, they have an abortion in the first trimester or whatever the case may be. That's what most abortions are. Can we agree that if you're not ready to take care of a child, you probably shouldn't be laying up with Tony, right? Can we be fair? You made a decision. Let me say this. I tell people this and they want to throw me off a cliff. I say I'm pro-life and pro-choice at the same time. Why do you say that, Brandon? Every woman does have a choice. Whether it was in the bedroom or in the den or in the back of the car, you had a choice. The choice is in the bedroom, not at the clinic. Can we be fair? I think men should be held to that account too. Brother, if you're not ready to have a baby, you can't be putting you where it don't supposed to be. If you're not ready to work on a job, why are you filling out the application and going to the job interview? If you don't want to get an injury, why are you playing football? Like, you can't expect that you are going to do these things that create life and expect for a life not to come. It creates a situation where young men don't have to be held accountable and women are being used, because all a young man have to do, because you can have an abortion, I'm gonna sleep with you, but then when it's time to have the baby, I don't want nothing to do with you. You're on your own, Jack. That gives men the possibility to do that, because then therefore a woman can just have an abortion. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that's moral in our society. It is not okay to say, because I don't want you, I can kill you.
I think the what he's saying makes sense, but this all ties back to my initial question. I think in order to really have a fundamental in a conversation about this that leads somewhere, everyone as a whole together needs to come and decide, when does life begin. I think that's the fundamental difference between people who are, in his case, anti-abortion, and people who are, in her case, pro-abortion. There is a fundamental difference on when some people believe life begins and when it doesn't begin. Officer Tatum, and I may be wrong, I believe he believes life begins the second you find out you're pregnant. Life begins. And in her mind, if you're a fetus, life does not begin. This is just too. This is too much for me. We need to come together and define, when does life begin, when does life not begin, in order to have a real conversation about this. But anyways, it's LFR Jojo. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later.